Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. So many things to get into in regards to this game, but none of them can lead in front of LSU's defensive effort. It's just atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. And the fear that was going to happen was there. You didn't know. Maybe clean some things up. Pete Jenkins comes in. Second half of Missouri was better. Auburn game was better. Army game, whatever. Got off a bye. Okay, maybe things are moving in the right direction since they were so bad in Oxford and so bad in the first half against Missouri. No. Back to square one. Awful. Absolutely awful. Gave up 42 points. 507 yards, 11 of 14 on third down, 6.3 yards per carry on the ground. Couldn't get a turnover. Only 3 tackles for loss. Only 2 sacks, the fewest Bama has given up since the opener against Georgia Southern. Everybody's getting after the passer on Alabama, not LSU. Got a sack early, got a quick stop, and it's never again. And again, I mean, 9 drives Alabama went on, 6 touchdowns, 2 missed field goals, and 1 punt. And you would look at that and go, man, that's really bad. You gave them, had the ball 9 times, you let them score 6 touchdowns and have 2 more scoring opportunities, which they didn't cash in on missed field goals. You only made them punt once. That's really bad. Well, it's really bad and about par for the course when they play a really good team. Let me give you the numbers from the Ole Miss game. Ole Miss had 12 drives. They scored 7 touchdowns, kicked 2 field goals. That's 9 scoring drives out of the 12. You did force 2 punts in that game. You had a turnover on downs. Against Florida State, Florida State had 11 drives, 6 touchdowns, a field goal, 2 punts, and 2 turnovers. If you take the Bama game, the Ole Miss game, and the Florida State game, those are the 3 top 10 teams that have beaten you. That is 32 total drives those teams have gone on. They've scored 19 touchdowns. That's 60% of the time teams score touchdowns. 5 field goal tries, some made or missed. I'm not going to give the defense a ton of credit whether or not the kick went through the uprights. So that's 70% scoring rate. And you forced 5 punts in 32 drives. That is 16% of the drives. They just don't ever get any stops. It's so easy. And for a lot of Saturday, it was just a lot of the same. Jalen Milroe, drop back, run. We saw early in the game, Harold Perkins lined up on the edge and then dropped back into a spy position. And then we never really saw that again. It's not just as simple as saying, hey, why don't you just spy him? Just spy the quarterback. It's something that you can use, but it's not something you want to do every play. Because in that, if you spy the quarterback, you take one of your players, and if the quarterback doesn't run, you've kind of wasted him. And spying Milroe's not that easy because he's really fast and really strong. Now, Perkins has the skill set to do it, but it didn't matter. Bama could throw it wherever they wanted to. They could run it whenever they wanted to. They scored whenever they wanted to, and LSU just had no ability to fight back. It puzzles me because I've watched Alabama over the years play these September snoozers against Tennessee, Chattanooga, or Georgia Southern, and they don't score a touchdown like every time. But for some reason, when this LSU unit goes out there, Ole Miss and Alabama pretty much score a touchdown every time. It's a little hyperbole. Please allow me on this Monday to use some of that. But it's just so easy. LSU does have 11 guys out there that are on scholarship. Stop them once. Force a holding penalty that gets them into 2nd and 20. Get a sack. Make a play. They just never do it. Listen to some of these rankings. Out of 133 teams, 132 teams in the country, LSU's 87th in scoring defense. Keep in mind, this counts games against Grambling and Army. 87th in scoring defense, 104th in run D, 81st in pass D, 100th in total defense, yards allowed. Third down defense, you ready for this one? 125th in the country out of 133 teams. There's 8 worse than you on third downs. LSU, there's 8. Red zone touchdown prevention, 119th. Sacks per game, 98th. Tackles for loss per game, 95th. Turnovers, 89th. 20-plus yard plays allowed, 105th. I just went through scoring defense, run defense, pass defense, total defense, third down defense, red zone touchdown preventions, sacks, tackles for loss, turnovers, and big plays. LSU's not in the top 80 in a single category, not one. That is unbelievably difficult to imagine. Guess you don't have to imagine. It's right there in front of you. I know a couple of your transfer corners aren't around. I know you had an injury to your best corner and your best defensive lineman. I know all that. Everybody else has guys hurt too. Get a stop. And even when they're in position to get a stop, they can't do it. We knew all week, talking about Alabama, that Jalen Milroe, who's not a very good passer, generally speaking, makes 1 or 2 horrendous throws in every game. Awful early interception against Texas into the flat. Terrible red zone decision and throw against Ole Miss. That gets picked off. Strip sack against Tennessee. He is prone to making a terrible play, and he made one on Saturday. And Andre Sam came flying over there and undercut it and missed it by 4 feet. That's the pick. That's the game-changing play. LSU had the momentum at that point. The offense was cooking. Milroe makes the terrible throw that he's prone to make. And your guy's there and he can't make a play. It's the compounding issues. It's lack of talent, lack of depth, lack of execution, poor play. Like everything that you could stack up is bad. And I'm just not going to give the group any credit for efforts against Army and Auburn. You've got to go do it against the good teams. And when the good teams show up, LSU is allowing scores on 70% of drives, touchdowns on 60% of drives, and they force a punt 16% of the time. 5 punts in 32 drives in those 2 games. It's just such a crippling feeling for an offense to know that you have to be perfect. Mason Taylor drops one over the middle. Uh-oh. You feel this impending doom when the offense doesn't conduct itself perfectly. And a lot of the times, they're perfect. But you've got to allow some margin for error. And LSU's defense does not allow its offense any. They had to score every drive in the second half against Arkansas to win. They had to score every drive in the second half against Ole Miss to win. They had to score every drive in the second half against Missouri to win. They did it against Arkansas and Missouri. But it's just asking way too much. Demanding perfection from the offense because the defense is inept is too much on the road in a tough spot. And so you look up now and you are in a situation where the goals that you set in August are no longer attainable. So where's your motivation come? Where does your hunger come from? Where does your desire come from? And I think that they'll have it. Ed Ogeron's teams down the stretch were out of everything, and they played hard and won some late games late. That 2020 team had no business going to the Swamp and winning that game. And then they played great on offense against Ole Miss in the finale, and they found a way to pull it together. The 21 team that beat A&M at the end probably had no business winning that game, and they showed up and they fought. I think they will fight, but it's just difficult. This is part of my preference towards college basketball and certainly college baseball, where your goals don't really come off the table until you lose at the end. In college football, they can in the middle of the season. Sometimes it's September, sometimes it's October. In this case, it's November, Going to have to pick yourself up by the old bootstraps and go play. But the defense, it's difficult for me to imagine an LSU defense being gashed to that level this consistently. I don't have a great theory on it. I truly think that Matt House did a good job with the defense last year. You look at some of the point totals that they allowed. You look at what they did in the second half of some of those games against Mississippi State, against Ole Miss, against Auburn, against Florida. I thought he did a really nice job. This product is not very good. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.